everyone, this is Sarvachan Verma and working I am as assistant professor at AKGEC Engineering College, Ghaziabad. And today I am going to discuss basically object-oriented programming. Inside the object-oriented programming, today I will discuss the concept of class and objects. Okay. Now, if we're talking about the class and objects, basically a object-oriented programming, a programming paradigm that involves designing programs around the concept represent as a objects. Basically, objects is a basic entity in the object-oriented programming. Okay. Second thing, Python support object-oriented programming through the provision of classes. The basic terminology of class is that a class is a collection of functions and attributes. Attributes means data attached to a specific name which represent an abstract concept. What is the abstraction? Abstraction means to hide the internal details from the outside world. Okay. Second thing, this is the basic need of object-oriented programming is attributes. A named piece of data means variables associated with a class. If we're talking about variables, basically inside the class body, we can declare the two types of variables. First one is instance variables and second one is the class variables. For objects, separate copy will be created for instance variable, and for class variable, single copy will be created for every class. Okay. Second thing, object. Basically, I am already told it is a basic concept and basic unit of object-oriented programming is object. A single concrete instance generated from a class. It means object is capable to access entire functionality of the class. If we're talking about functionality may be functions and attributes. We can say the class is a collection of functions and method. How we can define the class? This is a class. Suppose we have one class. Okay, this is a class. Class name is a valid identifier. Suppose we have one class is suppose X. Okay, inside the class we have declared data plus functions. Okay, this is the representation of the class. Now X is a class name and this is the object 1, obj1. Now this object obj1 is capable to access entire functionality of the class. Okay, this is called the class body. Okay. Now instance of a class, we can say instance means object of a class. Both are same terminology. Okay, the class can be viewed as factorials or templates for generating new objects instance. Each object's instance takes on the property of the class from which it was created. It means if class X, I have already discussed, this is the class X. Okay, inside the we have declared one data A and define one function. Function name is X, Y, Z, and this is the first argument of, and this is the body of this function. Now the object, suppose we have created one object X equal obj. Okay, 1. Now this objects have fully right to access all these members because X is a object of which class? X class. So basically each object instance takes on the property of the class. What is the property of class? Data and functions from which it was created. Okay. Now this is a beautiful example you will see here. This is one class. Class name is rectangle. This is called the abstract concept. Okay. Inside this class we have three attributes. First one is width, height and color, and inside that class I have defined one function which is called the area. Similarly, we can create the multiple concrete instance. This is the instance 1, this is the instance 2 and this is the instance 3. The name of instance 1 is rect1, the name of instance 2 is rect2 and the name of object 3 is rect3. I am already told object of class, or we can say instance of a class. Both are same terminology. Okay. But you will see here the copy of the attributes for every objects will be created separately. Because of these attributes are treated as a instance attributes or object attributes, because object attributes. For object 1, the value of attributes is 5, 3 and color is RGB color in the RGB format, and for object 2, rect 2, value will be different, and for object 3 value will be different. So this is the basic concept how we can correlate between the classes and between the attributes and between the functions and between the objects. Okay. Now this is very good example, creating a class. Okay. So defining a class in Python, how we can define the class in Python? Okay. So basically defining a class in Python is done using the class keyword. This is the class keyword which is used to define the class, followed by the indentation block with the class content. So in this example you will see here, this is the first function. This is function is treated as a first function, and second is this function. Okay. This is called the class member function, and this is called the class data attributes. Okay. So this is complete body is treated as a class body. Okay. Now all these body, it means all data and all functions will be accessed by the object of a particular class. Okay. Now defining functions in a class. How we can define the function? We have already told def is a keyword in Python which is used to define the functions. Okay. So basically a class definition block can include multiple functions. There is a no boundations. You can declare n number of functions inside the class body. Second thing, these represent the functionality or behavior that are associated with the class. What is the meaning of behavior? Behavior, always in object oriented programming, behavior is treated as a function. Okay. You will see here inside the class math, this is the name of the class math. Okay. Inside the class math, I am defining two functions. First one is subtract and second one is add. Okay. But if we talking about the number of arguments taken by this function is 2 or 3, either 2 or 3. Inside the function subtract and inside the function add, we are showing 3 arguments, but actually I have declared or I have included either 2 arguments or 3 arguments. I am declare only 2 arguments, not a 3 arguments, because of self is a argument, okay, which carry the reference, which carry the address of a particular object. I will discuss later. Basically, argument self refer to the object itself. If I have declared, you will see here, every object method, object function or instance function. Throughout, instance and object both are same terminology in object oriented programming. I am already mention it, okay. Either we can say object function and either we can say instance function, no issue at all. Take a very bit special care on this topic. You will see here all the property of this class math is only and only accessible by the object of a particular class. There is no one has capable to access this facility. Only object of a class can access this facility, okay. We can say facility means data and functions, okay. Now take a very bit special care. When I declare one object of this class, math class, suppose this is my one object A1 equal m math, okay. This is the first function. When this function is called, how we can call? I can call with the help of A1 dot subtract. A1 dot subtract. When this function is called, immediately self contain the address of A1 object, okay. When I call same method, same function with the object A2, suppose I am going to create object A2 equal math. Now I am going to call A1 dot subtract 20, 30. Now when at the time of calling this method with the reference of A2 object, then self contain the address of A2. So basically self is a okay. Basically self, argument self contain the address of a particular object while calling the behavior of a class. Now calling functions in a class, how we can call, I have already discussed, but you will see here using class function from outside a class function are referenced by using the dot operator. It means we can call the behavior of a particular class using the dot operator. This is the dot operator, okay. Now m is a treat as a object of which class? Math class. Now I am going to call math dot subtract, m dot subtract and m dot add, okay. This is the notation. No need to specify value of self. Python does this automatically. What is the need of self? To contain the address of a particular object, okay. Calling functions in class, using class function from inside a class, okay, with referring to functions from within a class. We must always prefix the function name with self. You will see here, if you want to access the, to call the particular particular function inside the class. Okay, this is called the calling the function inside the another function. This terminology is treated as a, suppose this is m is a object, m is a object of a particular class. Now I am going to call m dot subtract, m dot erase, m dot test sub. Okay, now I am calling, at that time I am calling this function. The self contain the address of which object? M object. Similarly, inside, when this body execution will start, okay, when this line will execute it, immediately control call this function and the body of this function executed simultaneously. And first statement of this test sub function is print self dot subtract. At that time, self contain the address of okay. So basically, self is a argument which contain the address of a particular object, or we can distinguish the object to object. Particular function while calling in what reference, okay, we will differentiate by self. Attributes. Inside the class, we have declared two types of attributes. It means two types of variables. First one is, you will see here, company equal UCD. This attribute is called the class attributes. Okay, take a very bit special care. And inside the function, if we declare any attribute, then this attribute is treated as a instance attributes. Okay, so basically, what is the difference between two attributes? I have already told. For class attribute, only single copy will be created. You will see here only single copy. Okay, single copy will be created. For instance attribute, multiple copy created. For instance attribute, separate copy will be created for each object. Okay, this is the basic difference. Second difference is, the class attribute declare inside the class body, whereas instance attribute declare inside the instance function. Okay, you will see here by this code, you will see here I have declared two objects. First one is P1 and second one is P2. Okay, P1 dot age is 35 and P2 dot age. You will see here. In the, I have declared for object P1, age value is P1 dot age 35. For instance, in the reference of A2, the value is 23. P2 dot age. Okay, now similarly, for object P1 only single copy will be created for this, and this copy will be circulated to the P1 as well as P2. Okay, single copy will be created. Now it is very important part. What is the concept of constructor? Okay, it is very important concept while you are dealing with object oriented programming. Okay, basically if we're talking about constructor, so basically when you are creating object of a particular class, while creating the object of a particular class, if you want to initialize something, if you want to initialize the something at the time of object creation, then constructor play a very important role. Okay, basically in object oriented programming, if we talking about Java, if we talking about C++, if we talking about Python, constructor is a member function of a class which are used to initialize the object of a particular class. Okay, you will see here, when an instance of a class is created, the class constructor function is automatically called. Okay, if you are creating the object of a particular class, at that time automatically constructor of a class will be created. This is the first thing. Okay, second thing, the constructor is always named with double underscore, init double underscore. If we're talking about previous language like Java, in Java constructor name has the same name as the class name, but in Python give a separate name to constructor which is called the init double underscore, init double underscore and parenthesis. Okay, second thing, it contain code for initializing a new object of the class to a specific initial state. Okay, it means, what is the meaning of initial state? If you want to setting instance attributes value at the time of object creation. Okay, suppose while running the application, I want to initialize the some random number to all the customer of a particular bank branch. Okay, when you are access your ATM card, first default PIN number you will be given by the particular bank branch. Okay, so while you are creating the objects, because in a customer you are the customer, inside the customer, inside the bank you will treat as a for a banking server you will treat as a object. Okay, thank you so much. In next class I will discuss constructor, how we can call and how we can initialize. Such thing I will discuss in next class. Okay, thank you so much.